Wow, look at all of these cacao pods.
And without the cocoa beans inside those pods, we couldn't make one of our favorite foods, chocolate.
This is where it all begins.
But how do high-tech roasters and pressers, sheeters and conchers turn raw cocoa beans into delicious chocolate treats? Like candy bars, creamy white chocolate, a cool twist on hot chocolate, and even chocolate-flavored corn chips?
You can see some of the speckles of the corn in it.
We're about to find out and answer the question,
how'd that get on my plate?
Coming up, a chocolate chip unlike any you've ever tasted before.
It's great with peanut butter, with coffee, with a nice glass of wine.
Do you keep up with the average chocoholic? Because on average, we each eat between 10 to 12 pounds of chocolate every year. The favorite by far is milk chocolate, but now there's a new way to indulge. Chocolate chips. And we don't mean that kind. We mean this kind. Chocolate-flavored corn chips. But how do you get chocolate into the chip? To find out, we went to Food Should Taste Good in Hartford, Connecticut, where high-tech sheeters, cutters, and flash fryers crank out 50,000 pounds of chocolate corn chips every day.
It's great with peanut butter, with coffee, with a nice glass of wine, definitely with some ice cream.
These unusual chips start out like most corn chips, with stone ground corn. But that's just half the recipe. The other half is a mix of cocoa powder, semi-sweet chocolate, and cane sugar. All the ingredients are loaded into a 750-pound mixer, and water is added through a hose inside the machine. 20 minutes is all it takes for the rotating twin blades inside the mixer to mix it all together.
When we take it out, it'll be moist, but it'll be somewhat crumbly. You can see some of the speckles of the corn in it. The recipe here is essentially done. Now, this is our chocolate chip in its wet dough form.
But just like a batch of cookies, this dough needs to be rolled out and cut into chocolate-flavored corn chips. So it's loaded into carts and wheeled over to an elevator for a quick ride up to the sheeter. The sheeter uses a series of mechanized rolling pins to slowly roll out the dough into thinner and thinner sheets. The final roller cuts the dough into chips.
This is one of the cutters for our chocolate chip. The reason we use a rectangular shape for the chocolate chip is we pulled the inspiration for that from a chocolate bar. Chocolate bars typically are rectangular, and we wanted to kind of create that same feeling, same flavor in the chip. The rectangle is a natural choice.
What went in as dough comes out of the sheeter as wet chips that are sent on a conveyor belt into a specially designed gas-powered oven that cooks the chips 3 times at 3 different temperatures. The chips loop through the oven on a triple-tiered conveyor belt, and each belt passes over a gas-powered flame that's set to a different temperature.
On top, it's approximately 700 degrees. In the middle, around 500 to 600 degrees, and on the bottom, it's 400 degrees.
The descending temperatures are designed to cook off moisture in the chips without overcooking them.
If we bake them for too long, it'll start to burn the sugar and the cocoa that's in there. So it's a very fine line between baking enough of the moisture out and not burning the product.
The chips leave the oven fully baked.
Here you can see the chocolate chip as it just comes out of the oven.
But they're not crisp and crunchy just yet.
Now the consistency, it'll tear, but it's a lot stronger. It doesn't flop anymore.
The chips don't get their signature crunch until they hit the fryer, where they are flash fried for 60 seconds in sunflower oil. And because the triple-tiered oven baked out most of the moisture in the dough, the chips absorb very little oil in the fryer.
Because when the chips enter the fryer, the moisture in the oil will transfer spots. So the less moisture going in, the less oil coming out. So the chip has a nicer crunch and it's not as oily.
Then it's out of the fryer and into the tumbler for a coating of sea salt.
The chips are still warm and that sunflower oil is still warm. So the salt's just naturally going to stick to the chip.
A high-tech sorter separates the chips into single bag servings so they can be bagged up, boxed up, and shipped out. And thanks to all this quick-moving technology, the cocoa powder is transformed into chocolate chips in less than an hour.